I bought two different wireless 3D touch probes for my new CNC router. The cheapest one I could find on AliExpress and a not so cheap blatant copy of a Renishaw OMP40. Let's find out if they are any good and if so, which one is better. Hello and welcome to my channel. Wireless touch probes are so unbelievably convenient on a CNC router that once you work with them, you will not go back to a model with an attached cable. I was lucky enough to come across a used Renishaw OMP400 a few years ago and I absolutely love it. So for my new router, this was as well the way to go. The only problem with these things is that they are unbelievably expensive and a new one was out of the question. My original idea was just to get a second machine interface and to use the probe on both machines, but even this was way too expensive. And all the used ones I saw on eBay were located and shipped from China, and I just didn't trust them to be genuine. That's when I decided to go over to AliExpress and to browse for a cheap alternative. And the absolute cheapest one I could find was the GP800 CNC wireless probe. There are lots of different vendors for it, and the price range is between 240 and 300 euro including shipping. But they are all identical, so it makes sense to look around until you find one with a lower price. The GP800 works with a 2.4 GHz transmission between the machine interface and the touch probe. It has a 42mm body diameter and an 8mm shank, which needs to go into a collet. The probing stylus is exchangeable and has an M3 thread. The machine interface switches the probe on and off, receives the trigger signal and has a low battery and error warning. Since the price and the specs were just too good to be true, I decided to get as well a second probe with a different principle based on an infrared transmission similar to the Renishaw probes. This is the OMIK RMT40 and its form factor is a bold copy of the Renishaw OMP40 probe and OMI2 machine interface. The cheapest one I could find is around 600 euro, so more than twice as expensive than the GP800, but still a fraction of a real Renishaw. But it already comes with a dedicated BT30 tool holder with integrated adjustment function. The machine interface has the identical features as the original OMI2. This video is not sponsored and I paid both sensors by myself. Shipment took about 10 days, so let's have a look at the boxes. The GP800 came in a small package with no further protection around the actual box. Inside, however, everything is placed in foam. The machine interface looks quite sturdy in an anodized housing with 4 bolt-on magnets at the rear. The attached cable is about 6 meters long and has already ferrules at the end. Overall, I must say the unit makes quite a decent impression. The probe itself has a stainless housing and is rather heavy. At the top end is a shank with a disc which holds the probe with 4 grub screws. These are as well used for the runout adjustment. The probe stylus comes separately. It has an M3 thread on one end and a 3mm ruby ball at the tip. These probes normally run on two 1/2 AA sized 14250 lithium thionyl chloride batteries with 3.6 volts. In this probe, however, I was surprised to find two rechargeable lithium-ion batteries of the same size with 3.7 volts. What didn't surprise me at all was the fact that they were completely empty. I replaced them with two spare batteries from my Renishaw probe later on. But I must say that the quality of the interface and as well of the probe positively surprised me. The OMIK came in a bigger box because it was a combo with a special Renishaw BT30 tool holder. This has in total 6 grub screws to hold and adjust the runout of the probe. In the actual box is as well a foam inlay to protect everything. In there is the machine interface, the stylus, a magnetic tool holder, the probe, and 2 LiSoCl2 batteries. The interface has as well a quite heavy metal housing. The cable is about 8 meters long, but it has no ferrules at the end. The probe design, housing size, battery compartment, attachment shank, literally everything is a one-to-one copy of the original Renishaw OMP40. Similarly, once the batteries are in, the LEDs run through a test cycle to show the status of the probe. It then goes into the special tool holder and 2 grub screws prevent it from falling out again. The remaining 4 screws are placed in a 90-degree angle and allow a precise adjustment of the runout. This process is straightforward and I will not show the details here. The stylus in the box has a ceramic shaft with a 6mm ruby ball at the tip, which is a little bit too big for my taste. So I exchanged it with a 4mm tip stylus from my other probe. With this commonality, I only need to have one type as a spare. And trust me, I need spares. And here you can see a copy and the original probe side by side. Chinese R&D at its best. And here are a few close-ups of the main components. Then it was time to install them and to make a comparison. But as you may have noticed, in neither box was any documentation whatsoever, not even a QR code or anything. When you decide to buy these probes, the documentation in the Ali storefront is all you get. And hats off to you if you can make any sense out of this. After checking almost any available GP800, I finally found a store with a more meaningful explanation of the wiring diagram. I think black and red are clear. Brown needs to be connected via a relay to the same ground as black to switch the probe on and off. Green is the trigger signal and the probe turned out to be NPN and normally closed. Yellow is a signal for low battery and pulls your CNC input to ground. And white is a signal for disturbed transmission between the probe and the interface and also pulls your CNC input to ground. The wiring of the OMIK is totally different. It has a few built-in solid-state relays as open collector outputs, and you can apply different voltage levels. It has two different trigger outputs, with the orange cable being a normally open PNP output linked to the black and red power input. I have labeled the other outputs accordingly, so you can see how I connected it to my CNC controller. For a comparison of the repeatability, I ran 10 times an edge finding sequence, where first Z, then X, and finally Y0 of the workpiece is taken, and I recorded the machine coordinates. I started with the GP800 and I immediately encountered an issue because despite the brand new batteries, it complained about the low battery status. So I had to disable the low bat error check in the software first to run the probing cycle, but you can still see the red LEDs flashing after each sequence. I'm not sure if it really requires the full 3.7 volts of the rechargeable lithium-ion batteries versus the 3.6 volts of the regular 14,250 batteries. I still need to check if this makes the issue go away once I can get hold of a half AA size battery holder. But nevertheless, I found this a little bit disturbing. The repeatability, however, really blew me away. They claim a 1 micron repeatability in the spec sheet, and what can I say? It really is on that level. I show you the details later after the second test. I will fast forward the 10 cycles, but if you want you can pause and check the values by yourself. Then I changed the machine interface and reprogrammed the probing macro in Eding CNC and ran the same test with the OMIK. Here there were no issues with the battery status, but I had the slightest differences in repeatability, but still on a micron level. Again, I fast forward the probing cycles. And these are the test results. As you can see, the GP800 hit 10 times the exact same spot apart from just one measurement where it was off by 1 micron in Y. The OMIK fluctuates a little bit more often by 1 micron apart from one measurement where it spiked as well in Y. Nevertheless, I would say that for this price tag, both are absolutely amazing for hobby use. My conclusion, however, is somewhat inconclusive. Both have a really decent build quality and there is nothing to complain. Given the astonishing repeatability and its much lower price tag, the GP800 should be the clear winner if there wasn't this issue with the low battery error. I will do some further tests here, but in any case, two full and brand new 3.6 volt batteries should have more than enough power to run this probe without issues. And that's why I keep the OMIK Renishaw clone on my latest build and reserve the GP800 for a later build. Thanks for watching and please let me know in the comments below what you think about these probes. If you haven't seen the build series of my latest CNC router yet, you'll find it in the description below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Stay tuned and see you next.